Hello and welcome to DDOcast episode 364. I'm your host, Patrick. This week's screenshot, Voodu gets some peace and quiet in the Red Fens in the 203rd screenshot of the week. Thank you for that, sir. We'd like to talk about Dungeons & Dragons online nearly every weekend. You can catch us through Google+, Hangouts, YouTube, the DDO forums, or from our website at DDOcast.com. DDOcast is hosted by CyberEars, the awesome podcast hosting network. Shows are usually available within a few days of recording. The next show will be next weekend. It'll be a recorded show just like this one. You can stay updated by following us on our social media pages or our website, DDOcast.com, with our calendar. On the podcast this week, we have a special roundtable discussion with some of your favorite DDOcast guests, and we're going to discuss how the year went for DDO, give it a little DDO year in review. But before we do that, I wanted to make sure that we got some store news out because there's some really nice sales going on. There's also bonus days. You can get plus 10% XP, Heroic, or Epic. Also, VIPs get an extra plus 10% through the new year. You can also get Autos boxes, double bonus points through the new year as well. Autos boxes will be on sale through January 4th, and double bonus points will be available through January 5th. And the sales through January 1st for the week, we have 20% off of True and Lesser Hearts of Wood, 20% off of Quest XP Elixirs, 20% off of healing items and spell point potions. And then the December deals for the week, and these are some pretty good ones, so you might want to be looking at these. You can get 50% off of Inventory Space. You can get 75% off of the Morning Lord Iconic Race. We've been waiting to get that. Now is the time. 50% off of Evening Star Challenge Pack, 50% off of the Half-Elf Race, and 35% off of Greater Tomes of Learning. And the freebie for the week, you can get a Lesser Slayer count boost with the code SLAY23, SLAY23. And all of those will be on sale through January 1st, the new year. Stuff happening in the community. There's not really a lot going on, being Christmas, but some things of highlight. DDO Cocktail Hour had their 77th episode, and DDO Players News had their 12th episode. So please do be sure to give those guys a listen and support them as well. And with that, we're going to jump into a roundtable discussion. Please enjoy this special edition of DDOcast. Hello and welcome to a special DDOcast roundtable discussion. I'm your host, Patrick. We have several guests this week. We're kind of loading the box here to have a little bit of fun and get a really nice, engaging discussion here. So we'll start off with Voodu.
Hey, everyone.
Welcome back, sir. We also have Propane.
Hello, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well.
And Steiner-Davion.
Happy festival, everybody.
And from DDO Cocktail Hour and DDO Damsels, everyone's favorite Lessah.
Hey, Patrick, how you doing?
Good.
If you know what I mean, Steiner-Davion.
That's right.
So this should be a lot of fun. This is kind of a two-part discussion. So we're going to start by discussing how the year went for DDO, just kind of a year in review. And then next week you can come back and we'll continue for the continuation of the discussion as we talk about the state of the game, kind of where it is and where we hope to see it go and how it's doing. But before we start all of that, I just want to let some folks get in some plugs here. Maybe start with Lessah. Do you want to plug what you got going on these days?
What? Well, we just put out a new episode of the Cocktail Hour, which you just informed me is broken, and I kind of freaked out. But we did that. That'll be fixed hopefully before we're done recording this show. I'm going to do it on the fly. And the Damsels of DDO are doing their next show as scheduled on the 30th of December, and we'll be doing our podcast on the 31st, which I'm trying to sneak in a special guest named Patricia. You might know her. You know, turn around. You look in the mirror, Patrick. That's you. You're gonna have to talk in falsetto. I decided to fool
Oh,
the
really?
girls. So yeah. Otherwise, they won't let you come in. It's a girls' club. So
But now they're going to know that he's not her.
it's shh. It's okay. It's okay. They won't know. They won't know. Just go
Might
with it.
talk me into wearing a wig and a coconut bra, but the falsetto part is a bit of a stretch.
I would pay to see that.
We're gonna need screenshots of that.
Yep. I'll chip in for that to happen.
There is somewhere in the ether, probably not completely destroyed, a picture of me in a corset and a hoop skirt from costume class in college.
Nice.
Awesome.
Now I have to find that.
Good luck.
The scavenger hunt. Go.
Yeah, if you can find that, you might get something special there. Let's see. And then Voodu, you've also got a bunch of stuff going on these days. Why don't you give a plug out for your stuff?
Yeah, I'm right in the middle of my True First Life, my favorite soul evoker, True First Life series. Now, this is a series where I went to a new server where I didn't have any friends, no plat, no guild, no buffs, nothing. So I'm starting from scratch, and it has been quite a challenge. And so my videos are up to about level 15 right now. I just posted a Crucible video, and I also just posted an advanced Caneth crafting video. And this is a follow-up video to my beginner's guide. And this is a great video for if you've been avoiding Caneth crafting, it's been confusing to you, this video is for you. It's for people who know absolutely nothing about Caneth crafting, and I hold your hand through it all. So check it out if you're interested.
So by holding our hands, you're going to do the crafting for us and get all the XP so we can just craft whatever we want?
Not quite that much hand holding.
I saw
I
you had
can
a
vouch
nice
for
tip
that.
about going into the chronoscope. That was a nice little tip there.
Yeah, that
Hell
was
yeah.
great. That was great. I didn't know that you could use shards of power as trinkets. Just very informative. I can definitely vouch for that video. I am enrolled in the Voodoo Spice School of Crafting.
Awesome. I was really glad to hear from quite a few people that didn't know about like the chrono weapons and the shards of power. So I'm really glad that I did that follow-up video.
Shards of power are great for trinkets because trinkets are hard to find to craft on.
Mm-hmm.
They do drop randomly, but I think I've gotten like maybe 3 ever,
Nope.
and they're bound when you
Yep.
get them too. So
So I don't think I've ever seen a trinket random loot gen.
very
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 rare.
small chance, very rare
Yeah.
thing. So, well, with that, do you? I don't. Propane and Steiner-Davion, do you guys have anything to shout out here?
Just guildies are running. We're picking up some new people with Salona being the default server now, so we got a couple new people coming. So the brothers and sisters in the Brotherhood of Redemption are quite busy nowadays.
And Steiner?
Nothing really, just plugging along towards my completionist. Ever so slowly.
Yeah, good luck, sir. Slow is the way to go with those. At least that's how I tend to get there. Not that I'm really actually trying to do that, but anyways, so we're going to talk about the year 2014 in DDO in review, and what we're going to do is we're going to kind of go by update and just kind of give a review of how that went and compare it. And now that several of these things have been around for a while, so the first update was update 21, Thunderholm and Haunted Halls. So we got, this is just kind of it's not everything that came with that, but a quick rundown of several of the things that came. We got Thunderholm Explorer Area, Haunted Halls, both of the Thunderholm raids were with that. The Epic Completionist came out, anniversary cards. There was an XP pass, which Vaughn 3 was about the only quest that went down, but Wayloon, Stormhorns, Druid's Curse, and several others saw an increase in XP. The XP bonuses started increasing combination of Valor drops as well as Epic Autos boxes giving combinations of Valor. We got the Akami Net session, which was a fun one. I'm sure someone will bring that up here. And then Update 21, Patch 1, we also got the Divine Crusader, the Exalted Angel, and Unyielding Sentinel also got revamped for the Epic Destinies as far as that. So, Update 21, how did you like it? How did it go? And maybe we'll start with Steiner-Davion.
I've really enjoyed the content in there, especially Haunted Halls. You know, it's a fun quest. You can do it really fast, or you can take your time. It's great when you have someone who's never done it. There's still a few of those people out there. I don't think I really ran it until like August, and I had blast going through there, just tripping all the traps and having the rest of my party members laugh at me. It's like, don't open that door. Oh, told you.
Your friends were nice. They told you not to open the door.
But they said that about every single door, so. But I did manage to, miraculously escape the doors at the end by picking the first two doors correctly, and they were astonished to see that. Anniversary cards were great initially. I think I'll reserve the rest of my comments for that for later on. Epic Completionist, And XP Pass overall I thought was pretty good. And Vaughn 3 I think still gives tons of XP.
It's still a good run to go through. Propane, do you want to go next? What did you think of Update 21?
Oh, I think the Haunted Halls was very much fun to run. They did a really good job setting that up. Little surprises around each corner. The XP Pass, we saw it coming, we knew it was coming, and like you said, it's still a pretty good run. The Epic Completionist, I remember there was a lot of discussion about that, so I'm kind of happy where it landed. I doubt I will get there on any of my characters. I got way too many alts, but it is a nice little carrot to go for.
And Lessah, we'll go to you next.
Oh, thanks. Instead of last, like you introduced me, that's okay. I'm just making a little tally here, holding things against Patrick. 1. There we
You mean
go.
Patricia?
Yep, Patricia, right. Hello, I'm Patricia.
I
All
actually
right,
really hate that name.
I'll come up with something else, don't worry. We'll fix it in post. I think Haunted Halls is a big home run. It still isn't old for me, and there's so many different ways that you can do the quest, and there's so much cool stuff in it. I really loved it. Thunderhome, I thought there were kind of it's a good place to get killed, especially if you're a high-level permadeather. We had a high-level permadeath party wipe in there. As a matter of fact, we had a guy who was 27 trying to be 28, and he decided he was going to go into Thunderhome because, ooh, that's a high-level explorer area, and guess what? He died! Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So guess what? Guess who's the level 28 in the guild now? This girl! I ain't going in there. Anyway.
You guys pass the crown to the highest level person.
We passed the crown around. I have to share it with one other guy. And we actually did it. We actually went in and duoed the Haunted Halls. It was super fun. Anniversary cards is always a couple of D-bags that are going to ruin it for other people. That's all I have to say about that. And I'm really... It's a shame. It really is. XP Pass, who cares? Other stuff, who cares? Next.
All right, Voodu, if you want to jump in here.
2 big thumbs up to Update 21. I love Thunderhome, love the Haunted Halls. Haunted Halls, I laughed, I cried. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. The old school dungeon crawl pen and paper module feel to this is just outstanding. With Thunderhome, we got a new crafting system. Love it. I love the tier 3 abilities. I love that they made that hard to get, but I also love that you can get like up to tier 2 with relatively small amount of effort. And then the tier 3 abilities are just so awesome. So I just loved Update 21. Oh, and Epic Completionist. I do have one Epic Completionist, that 4th Twist of Fate. Amazing.
Especially since at least I think every character that I have pretty much always has one tier 1 ability twisted somewhere, so it's not too bad to get there. I don't have any completionists yet, but so I would say Haunted Halls, best quest of the year. Yes, no?
Yeah.
It's hard to vote against it.
Arguably, yeah.
I think we all agree with that. I really like the raids. At the same time, I find Shadow Dragon to be fairly disappointing, just because the lag this year in Shadow Dragon has been excruciatingly painful, and it got to the point where I was like, I'm not running this anymore, and I hate that I got there because I really like the mechanic of the final fight and the raid, and it could use a few less mirror puzzles.
Mm-hmm.
I would take 2 mirror puzzles if they were completely or if they were more random. And that would be fine. But 6 of the same thing over and over again is a little dull. But other than that, yeah, I think it was a good one. Do you guys like Divine Crusader as a Destiny? Thumbs up on that, thumbs down. Any strong opinions?
It looks pretty cool. I honestly haven't played with it much.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat here.
I know a lot of people like it just because it can prevent you from getting encased in market death, which may or may not be working as intended. Let's kind of expand a little bit on the anniversary cards. Having been through the whole process of anniversary cards, good for the game, bad for the game, kind of neutral. What do you guys think?
I'm going to say neutral for the game because the bad probably outweighs the good, but it was still really cool when it wasn't being exploited.
I'd say the cards themselves, the artwork was beautiful. I like just scrolling through the cards, so the concept from that point, I really liked how they laid it out. It was just a few people taking advantage of a couple loopholes is where stuff got out of hand.
I mean, I think the biggest thing that the biggest drawback to the whole thing is explicitly through like the exploiting, but I know this in the show notes later on, but the raid timer bypasses. It's a free source of those, and that's kind of ruining, in some people's opinions, the end game raiding scene and whatnot.
Yeah, I'd say it certainly didn't help that. I really liked the mechanic, and it was a fun event. But yeah, it was really sad that certain things got exploited with it, and numerous cards were to be had. I certainly understand them shutting it down. So.
Give you kudos for your event, though. It sounds like you had a lot of people participating and sending a lot of cards around the place.
Yeah, it was a bookkeeping nightmare. But I think I did a pretty good job, and some people were very happy and had a lot of fun with it. So, and it was very well received, so that was good. Yes, indeed. And it gave me some stuff to give away throughout the year. I had a bit of a crunch to like get rid of all the cards I still had left over though, so that was a bit of a trick. But thankfully, I know several people that have been helping me out throughout the year that could put some of that stuff to use. Do you guys have any strong opinions on the Akami Net session thing that came out? Are we all kind of past that? Do we not care?
I don't really care so much because I thought Turbine did a really good messaging up front and saying that they're aware of everyone's concerns and they've taken the appropriate measures to mitigate those concerns by basically letting you disable it, until the next time that there's a content update. And I think there's no peer-to-peer at all on it. It's just strictly your client to their server kind of thing.
Yeah, I know it was a big firestorm on the forums, but I don't know. I didn't worry about it too much, and I too I think was kind of satisfied with what they were talking about, what you just kind of mentioned there. So
I think the big firestorm was just a direct offshoot of the whole Pando Media Booster vulnerability that was like in the news like a week before they announced the switch.
Yeah, it was probably poor timing overall, but it was barely a blip in my radar. But some people got excited.
But that's probably actually why they switched it, because I guess it had been happening for a little while beforehand, before they made the announcement. And then so who knows?
I wasn't even really aware of the Pando thing, so it's kind of off my radar. Let's see. Anyone else want to say about Update 21 before we move on? All right then. Update 22 was the Pirates of the Thunder Sea, and some of the things we got. We got Epic 3-Barrel Cove, which included one brand new quest, Prove Your Worth. And the Slayer area got an upgrade for Epic. We had new guild ships, guild airships, and amenities. Guild levels went up to 200. The buff bar button. You can finding amenities as chain and rewards. Got that. We also got swashbuckler and single weapon fighting. The bag deposit box. You could put your goggles up with that update as well. And then with update 22 patch 2, we also got the Spell Singer and War Chanter enhancement passes, as well as Heart Seeds. I think this time I'm just going to open it up. What did you guys think of 22? How did that go?
I really like the Bard update. The War Chanter, there's a nice flavor on it. You don't have to sing near as many songs. You can do more of the area proximity buffed, which I thought was pretty nice. They buffed that quite a bit. Spell Singer I enjoy, and then with the SLAs they have now, you actually got a little bit of offensive punch on the Bard side, so that made my Bards much more fun to play.
Yeah, I have to agree. The Bard Pass was long overdue, and I think they did an outstanding job with it. Like you said, Bards are really fun to play now, particularly once you start messing around with Swashbuckler a little bit. Gives you a totally different feel than what was available pre-update 22.
And a pretty different feel from anything we had in the game previously to that, too. I mean, that was kind of the whole single weapon fighting thing that came out with that. Let me just jump in, too. When they were first announcing single weapon fighting, what did you guys think about that initially? Was it something you were excited for? Something like, why are we adding this? Where'd you guys kind of fall on that spectrum?
I was pretty excited for it, and I think my verdict is still ultimately out right now because I'm not entirely certain in my own mind that this is the direction I would have preferred that they had gone with single weapon fighting versus more of a sword and board kind of style. I don't necessarily know that the game needed like literally just a single weapon and nothing in the offhand kind of thing, but it definitely needs love even to this day with the updates with the armor up and stuff and the changes to Defender Cerberus and Stalwart Defender. But sword and board still needs some serious love in comparison to the other fighting styles, I think. But overall, I'm pretty happy, I guess, with single weapon fighting overall. I like the concept that they put in, but would like to see some additional changes.
Sure. Voodu, do you want to jump in here on update 22?
Well, on single weapon fighting, I don't do melees, period. So I didn't have any feelings about that whatsoever. I remember saying when we were talking about it on the show earlier in the year that I was disappointed that it didn't have a rapid fire ballista. I really like the ballistas because and one of the features I like is I can blow up my guildies. So anytime I get a chance to blow up my friends in a quest, like I'm all about that. But I really wanted that rapid fire ballista like they had in Haunted Halls to be able to shoot that all over the place. So obviously that's just a very minor thing. But it was a fun update. I'm still trying to get my Cursed Blade of Jack Gibbers. I record every single time I run that quest because when I finally pull it, I'm going to post that on my YouTube channel. But I'm at like 40, 50 recordings of that quest now that I just keep deleting afterwards.
Have you tried running the Explorer area, Adventure area, to see if you can get it to drop?
I've heard that it drops from Jack Gibber's rare chest, but I've heard a lot of people say that that's not true.
I don't know about that one yet because I'm still looking for it, but I did pull a couple weeks ago the Tiller and the Pirate Boots and another item. I can't remember what off the top of my
drop
head.
in the Explorer area. There's a couple places, a couple things that only drop uniquely, and I think the Gibber's Blade, I believe, only drops from Two-Toed Tobias at the end.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's a nice item. I would love to have many of them.
Yeah.
I have none.
But the items I did get in the Explorer area, they weren't necessarily from the rare chest, the rare mob chest that's associated with the item. I know I got the Tiller. It wasn't with the Ogre who's wielding the Tiller at the time.
Some really nice items out there too. And I don't know if you guys have realized this. The Tiller actually has a hidden slot. I don't know if that's working as intended, and I haven't heard anybody else talking about it. I don't even know if I should be talking about it here. It has a hidden blue slot on it, and if you click to use an augment, you'll see it.
Intriguing.
So
that's a funny one there.
But some great items. I mean, the Orcish Privateer boots, the Tiller, The iron mitts, these are all awesome and easy to farm. So if you have Epic 3-Barrel Cove and you haven't spent time out there, these are really easy farms. Go out there and get these items. And then that Cursed Blade of Jack Jibbers is a phenomenal item. If you're not familiar with it, this allows you to self-raise inside of a raid. So absolutely huge. This is a raid saver.
And also,
Yeah, after
no
a minute.
minimum level on it either, right? So you can
Nope.
technically
No minimum level.
TR and use it at level 1.
Yep.
Lessah, do you want to chime in on update 22 here?
Absolutely, yes, I do, Mr. I don't do melee. I love my swashbucklers. I love them. Oh my God, I'm in so much love. I can't even tell you. I have my favorite swashbuckler build is called a dandy tank, and one of my guildies, one of my permanent guildies in the Sublime, made it, and I have loved it so much. I've cloned it on almost every server that I play on because it's so much fun. My highest level guy, he's a level 17 permadeath swashbuckler. I have deemed him unkillable. He's so much fun. I love all the cool gear that I can go after. I love that things just die. They just look at me and die. You know why? Because I'm fabulous. That's right. Dandy Tank. Write it down. I love them almost as much as my paladins.
Can you elaborate on the build a little bit? Because as soon as I finish this Epic Destiny Sphere, I'm TRing into a
I don't need to
PvP
elaborate. I'll
swashbuckler.
just give you a map because it's like basically you take a level of favorite soul and then you mix in bard and fighter, and you're just amazing. You're just this amazing tank, and you can go anywhere and you can do anything, and you look hot doing it. And I can't believe you guys didn't say anything about the gear that drops in 3-Barrel Cove. Some of it is really cool looking.
What are you talking
And
about?
you can have the bucklers that have barnacles all over them, and they're so ugly that they're cool. Why wouldn't you want that? What is wrong with you people?
We spent like 5 minutes talking about it.
We didn't
Well,
talk
you
about
talked about
the
one
possibility.
thing. You talked about one sword that drops from
Here's the
one
difference, though.
guy.
Lessah's talking about
talking about the way it
cosmetic
looks.
value of the item.
Yes.
We're
I'm talking about how it
great
looks.
they are.
I don't care what it does. I want to know what it looks like. Come on now, stay with me. And you guys didn't even mention this is the update where they added the buff bar to the ship, and all the
Mentioned it in
cool.
passing.
Yeah.
I just really want them to introduce a new named item in there, with like a great axe or something that's the actual anchor.
Yeah, that'd be pretty slick. Anchor would be pretty slick to have wandering
Put
around.
in a long chain and swing it.
There you go.
Put that on a
That'd be fun.
Shatterkai.
Yep.
So I would say like the single, just before we move on from swashbucklers and single weapon fighting, I would say that they did a pretty darn good job with that. Simply from the fact that a lot of people going into the update were, do we really need single weapon fighting? It's a new weapon style. We don't really have anything to support that. We're not really sure about that. And then after the update, everyone's using it. Like there's swashbucklers and single weapon fighters everywhere all of a sudden. So I think they did a really good job there. The other thing we didn't really give much justice here. The guild airships and the kind of revamp of how all that worked, which I think was a pretty solid win. I like that you don't have to. You can keep them through death. You can keep them longer. You don't have to go back to the ship nearly as often. So that's all great.
Yeah, that quality of life is a huge improvement. You get so much more questing done versus at finishing every quest, everyone needs to go back and rebuff. Now you can buff and go for the whole night, so you get an extra quest or two done easy.
Yeah, that quality of life, that you can't put a price tag on that at all.
There's also the bag deposit box, which we didn't really talk about, which kind of changed. Like I was using bags in my bank already, but it certainly makes some of that a little easier. Although when you start adding up like scrolls and seals and shards, that space goes really fast. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I just wish there was a way to more easily move items from the bag deposit box into the appropriate bag.
Yeah, I could see some of that.
Because there's a real easy way to get it from the bag into the box, but the reverse doesn't work, which is a shame.
Yeah, I know Jeff Hanna from DDO Gamer really likes that feature as well. The bag deposit box, one of his favorite things out of the year. What did you guys think about airship combat? Because we had airship combat in this update.
I have a gripe about the bag deposit box before we move on, though. I'm
Go ahead.
really, really unhappy about the fact that some of the items don't stack within it. Like, for example, the discs you get from Mine Sunder, it doesn't show like a stack of 10. They're individually, every single one of them is taking up a slot in there, which is complete garbage. That
Which is why there's
aside,
still an ingredient bag in my main bank.
I love it. I actually just recently bought the 2 upgrades for it, and I love using that
They're
instead
just
of
on sale, right?
using a bag in my bank.
They were on sale recently, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that kind of stuff reduces your maintenance time, lets you play more. And, that's what I'd like to do. I like to play instead of maintenance. So.
Mm-hmm.
And the search feature is really nice. Although
Yeah.
I find more than anything else, the Kyber Dragon Shards is what really kind of plugs my bank up a little bit. Mostly because I haven't crunched them, but I still have a little bit of room, so I haven't worried about it too much. Let's see. So airship combat. That's where we're going next. What do you guys think about the airship combat?
Are we talking airship combat in the quest itself, or in the Explorer area, or both?
Whichever one you want to talk about.
It sounds like it's a really cool concept, I guess, in my opinion, but it really falls flat and kind of runs aground.
Which one are you talking about?
Both of them in
Both of them?
general. Particularly the quest. It's just, there's not a whole lot to it, and there's not necessarily a whole lot of warning when the other airship's going down. And the Explorer areas, the ballistas, in my experience, don't work too well. It's kind of hard to aim them and shoot them at and actually hit the airship. I've lost count of how many times the bolt just falls underneath the damn ship every single time.
I haven't had too much problem aiming them. I find if you line up your camera angle with the ballista, with horizontal on the ballista, and then start pulling it, and then start looking up, I haven't had too much problem aiming them.
Yeah, it's a little tricky. Once you figure them out, I think you got to lead them a little high. But once you figure it out, it's almost too easy, actually.
Yeah, the learning
the
curve on it is just too much.
Sure. The Slayer, I mean, the ships don't move, and really, defeating them is mostly a matter of getting enough time to hit them with ballistas. It's a little flat there. The quest Prove Your Worth I found really disappointing in terms of actually fighting airship to airship. It was just way too clunky. And the ballistas didn't really do enough damage, and the airships firing back at you could pretty much one-shot you anyways. So like the balance there just didn't work very well for me.
Yeah, to me it wasn't even like airship combat. It was repel the boarders.
Yeah, it was kind of hide more than anything else. Hide from the shots and repel the boarders, and hope that they board you, or hope that you get hit so you get stopped so you get an extra chest at the end, because it wasn't too difficult to get around that. It kind of reminded me of underwater fighting that we had several years ago with Red Fens. It was like, yeah, we're going to fight underwater. Ooh, hey, that sounds great. And then you actually did it. It was like, and this doesn't really feel like underwater combat.
Yeah.
No.
I think that sums that up pretty well.
Let's see. And I guess also before we move on from Update 22, Heart Seeds were kind of a big feature of the second patch for Update 22. Do you guys think that the Heart Seeds have pretty much put to rest the concerns about combination valor drop rates and that whole conversation? Do you feel like that was a good compromise or solution to that?
Done deal.
Yeah, and if all you take is heart seeds, I mean, forget about it. You don't, having enough to epic reincarnate is not going to be a problem.
21 quests, even if you don't have anything to start with.
Yeah.
So.
Especially a lot of characters got that free one for being a VIP last year, so you had a head start on collecting them.
Yes, indeed. All right, Update 23, Mark of Death. We got the Epic Orchard, both the quests and the Slayer area. We also got the Raid Mark of Death. We got the Mirror of Glamoring, which was at the time was only armor. Didn't include weapons or shields. It included helms though, right? I think so. I don't remember. I don't use it, so I don't. We also got Armor Up. That update was with Update 23. which included the introduction of magical resistance rating, melee power, range power, physical resistance rating. The combat feats all got some melee power and some changes, including overwhelming crit, no longer requiring strength or great cleave. The Knight of the Chalice, Stalwart Defender, and both defenders got a pass. The Vanguard tree came out. Holy Sword and Zeal saw some spell changes. We got the Harper Agent enhancement tree. Master's Blitz got changed. There were some highlighting UI and AI changes. The Quell Intercession got a much broader effect, so we could affect more things. There was an increase to the Trap XP bonus. Threnel got an XP pass. East 3 no longer had a fail condition, and there was much rejoicing. Crystal Cove got some level 24 items, and we also got the launcher preloading feature. That was a lot. So, someone who's really excited about one of these features, go and we'll talk about that for a little bit.
Okay, Holy Sword and Zeal changes, just to throw that out there, actually makes some Paladin spells useful for a change, though I can't remember, did they change Holy Sword again in Update 24?
It did. It lost its plus weapon value.
Yeah, lost what, +1 W and +1 instead of 2.
Yeah.
Still pretty cool though.
Yeah.
It still has the crit.
Be careful, Steiner.
Yeah.
I love my paladins, and I gotta tell you, I cried real tears whenever that update dropped, because all of a sudden, because I was country when country wasn't cool, right? I've been paladins this whole time, and finally I was so confused because I was doing damage, I was killing things, I didn't understand what was going on.
Yeah,
and it was great.
I really love that. My paladin is loving it right now.
Yeah.
Those two changes are phenomenal, though I wish they hadn't changed Holy Sword the second time.
Shh, it's okay, shh. It's all good.
So we like how paladins play now.
Yes,
gathering.
please.
Yes.
Yes.
They are no longer gimps, except in Lessah's case, they never were.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Mine's
Vanguard
Spartan
tree
Born
really,
Paladin, so
really
he,
cool. Yeah. I mean, if you're not using anything from that tree, you definitely need to use the shield bash effect, where you can sort of, I think it's called shield stun or something like that. Really cool. And trick it out and increase your combat mastery, and then everything that you hit with it just has to get stunned and then take all kinds of damage. It's wonderful.
So the paladin were off pretty good. Just kind of bouncing off of that, the whole armor update stuff. How did you guys feel about MRR and melee power, range power, and all that stuff?
Well, it made a big difference for my pure fighter. You know, I'd run the Thunder Peaks ranged, and when the fireballs start coming, you just get toasted, literally. So after that change, I felt so much more survivable, and it definitely gives you some merit to running around with full plate and a heavy shield. Makes you feel a little tougher, at least.
Yeah, I have to agree. It really, there was a huge discrepancy beforehand between evasion builds and non-evasion builds. If you had evasion and you had a decent reflex save, area effect spells, you were pretty much untouchable, and everyone else just soaked up the damage, and it wasn't even fair. Now there's a much more level playing field, and evasion is no longer the end-all be-all of that kind of defense. Though overall, I think that change was desperately needed and well received.
Excellent. Anyone else have any comments on the armor up and changes? Pretty good success, I would say. So far, we've gone through a bunch of things where they had design goals, and I'd say they pretty well met all of them so far, or at least did a pretty close job of that. Let's see, Harper Agent. Anyone a fan of Harper Agent and really using Harper Agent?
My pure rogue assassin is.
How's it working out for you? Do you like that it's there? Do you kind of wonder why we still have it or why we got it?
I was a little surprised at when it came from, but it does open up a bunch more build options, and I said for my pure rogue assassin, it made a huge difference in DPS now, so I was quite happy with that.
Okay. Let's see what else we got in here. Let's talk about Epic Orchard, the quests. I know I've found them to be, as far as an epified version of something where you're running it on Epic. I would say that I really enjoyed it. They were, the quests that I've run a lot already, but I thought that they got a good pass and they were fun and exciting to still run. Although they're really good quests to begin with. So, and Mark of Death is, I think, a pretty fun raid, just in general. And I thought was maybe a little too short. The tiles maybe a little too easy, but I thought they did a really good job of taking the mechanics of the Heroic Abbot and incorporating them into Epic Abbot, with the exception of the ice ones, which don't really work very well. There's just a little too much going on in that raid to really organize ice ones. Anyone have any thoughts on the quests?
I enjoyed this update quite a bit, the Epic Necro 4. I love the soundtrack to the quests. I really, really wish they would have added something extra to them, though, because to me it's just too much of the same as the heroic versions. Even just something little, whatever, a little side thing, whatever. It would have been nice to have that. And as far as the raid goes, I know a lot of people are, had the concern or the complaint that it's too quick. And I always think of this raid abstractly like Hound of Zoriat. There's another quick raid. Like if you know what you're doing and everything goes as planned, it's over in 5 minutes and it seems really easy. But if you don't know what you're doing,
run to Hound of Zoriat.
What was that?
You have to run to Hound of Zoriat. I mean, if you include that run out there, it'll still take you another like 20 minutes just to do that.
It doesn't take that long to get to Hound of Zoriat. Not anymore, especially. But
It's been a long time since I've run to Hound of Zoriat, so.
In Hound of Zoriat, if people know what they're doing, it can wipe really quick. And it's not so much anymore since the level cap's 28. But I definitely heard some horror stories of that quest pretty recently. So the shortness of the raid doesn't bother me. I would have liked to seen things maybe be done a little bit different.
We can't forget the Explorer area either. The spawn raid out there is quite entertaining.
Yeah, you can get to 400 Slayer out there even before you get to without even clearing the first shrine really well.
And before you get to the rat pile, you're almost there.
Yeah, no, exactly. You're all, hey, I'm at 400. How in the world did that happen? And can I make a comment about the quells and about that intercession thing that they do? Anything that irritates a caster is entertaining to me. So I am probably going to be in the minority. And I see Voodu laughing at me, but I'm going to be in the minority. But I'm going to say that I love it. And plus, I'm a paladin. I can just take them out. They don't bother me. Quells, bring it. Whatever.
I was actually a little surprised how much they didn't really bother me in the raid, even on my cleric or a healer or more of a divine character. I don't really found them to be that big of a problem. So, particularly given how big of an outcry there was about them in when they were on Lomania. So, I would say the one thing about Mark of Death is it was probably the single quest that was most impacted by the anniversary cards, between raid bypass timers and bottles of stone being used. And people, just saying, you can run Mark of Death without stoning anything, successfully and repeatedly, no problem. Just saying. Anything else anyone wants to bring up with Update 23 before we move on?
I guess I missed the trap bonus increase. I don't remember that happening at the time.
It's 10, 20, 30 now.
Oh yeah, that's crazy.
That's really nice.
Wanted to plug the Mirror of Glamoring again. I've had several characters. I have some old armor that I used to do the Cane of Crafting for, and I'd five or six, 7 mithril sets to have the exact look I want and have them at the different ranges. So now I can clear that stuff out, make whatever armor I want, and get the look I want. So I think that was very well done. It reuses some of the artwork they've had in the game for years, and some of the artwork has been really nice. So I think it made a lot of sense, and I've spent quite a bit of turbine points on several different characters getting the look I was hoping for.
There's a lot of things that
I'm
came out
feeling
this
that
year that,
Propane.
a lot of things that came out this year that were great, but Mirror of Glamoring, possibly the best thing that came out this year.
It ranks up there, I think, with the Haunted Halls.
At least from the turbine store.
Yeah.
Little tip for our listeners: the Epic Orchard Slayer area is really brutal. Now, you probably already know that you can teleport right to the quests as long as you have done them, which even if you have just done them on Heroic, you can still teleport to them in the Epic instance. But if you have not done it, and you need to make the run, you can go into the Slayer Zone on Heroic and run and still enter the quest on Epic instead of running through it on Epic. Because if you're running through it by yourself in Epic, it can take some time, and it can be pretty brutal.
I think that works for Giant Hold as well, though. The
Yep.
Explorer area there is not anywhere near as brutal.
Well, I can never get the Giant Hole teleporters to work correctly.
Yeah, I think that's true for any Epic quest that has a heroic version that you have to go through something else, like another quest or explorer area to get to. Because you can do it with Vaughn 3, you can do it in the Sands.
Yeah, well, you have to do it in the Sands.
Yeah.
And there is no epic version of the Explorer area, which is a shame. It'd be kind of nice. But yeah, but let's go back to the Mirror of Glamoring. I mean, that was a pretty big thing. A lot of people were really using it.
It's something that people have been glamoring.
Glamoring for.
Something people have been glamoring about for a long, long time.
Yeah, since pretty much the day the game launched, that people have been asking for this feature or something very, very similar to it.
Yeah, people have been reflecting on that feature for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a long time coming. I think the one thing they really did well with it is they nailed the pricing. Like it seems like the price is very reasonable, so people are. It's appropriate for what it does, but it's cheap enough that people are buying it a lot.
Yeah, I agree. They hit that sweet spot.
I think that's probably the only item in the store that I think they've really hit that sweet spot.
Fair enough. All right, update 24. I think we're ready to move on to that. So at update 24, we had the weapon glamoring, which I don't think we really need to talk about much more about glamoring in general, but that's when we got weapon and shield glamoring. We got the brand new quests on Heroic and Epic. Monster Champions, Healing Amp changes, the Barbarians got an enhancement pass, Hall of Heroes got remodeled, there was an adjustment to several item drop rates, there was a new shared bank format, and then the barter UIs got multiple crunching capabilities. Which, yay. Other than the bug, yay. If you don't know, I think it's still there. There's a bug with the barter UI. If you tell it to crunch multiple times on a recipe that only works once, it will take all of your ingredients for multiple times, but only crunch once. Only affected once. So be warned about that. Other than that, let's start out with the new quests. What do you guys think about the new quests? If you all had a chance to run them, did you like them?
I'm a little bit behind the curve on this one. I haven't done any of the Madness quests, but I did Mask of Deception, and I do like that one. It's a pretty simple quest. I like it. I've run it several times now. Still can't find a chest. No idea what's going on. I spotted a chest by backspacing around through a door that I can't even click on to open. It's not even a selectable door. I have no idea how I'm supposed to get treasure out of this quest.
I haven't run that one yet myself, so couldn't tell you. Maybe you have to talk to someone really pretty, like make a friend. I don't know. Does anyone actually run the new quests?
Sadly, no. I
haven't got there yet either.
Seriously? I've only run one of them. I've only run I think it's called the Heart of Stone.
Too funny.
the whatever the Stone Museum, whichever one that is.
Palace of
And
Stone.
it felt kind of meta to me because the Lord of Blades is in there and he's like, "Oh, this is so static and boring." And then the guy that's running the museum punishes you for it. Thanks.
So can we take, like, none of us have really. I mean, shows I think a lack of enthusiasm, which I definitely had for.
It's conflict with the Christmas season. Go on.
I've never been a fan of the Madness chains, honestly.
yeah.
So when I saw this was coming out, I was like, whatever.
If you like the Delirium series, Terminal Delirium is a lot of fun. It's weird. I got all that done with that quest, and pretty much my entire reaction to that was, well, that was weird. I wasn't
Both
really
them
sure
and
if I.
then Inspired
the whole
Quarter,
Madness-
they're both out there.
Yeah. It was. It was
Yolthun, best
good.
voice actor in the game, though. I mean, even though I'm not crazy about the chain in general, Yolthun is amazing.
Yeah, the
Agreed.
dancing with beholders was just weird. That was beyond crazy. I don't know which dev came up with that, but that was an interesting boss fight.
Don't spoil
Probably-
it for me because I'm planning on doing videos of me doing those quests for the first time.
On your first life?
No, just like without knowing anything about the quests, I'm gonna do. Oh no, the first life. No, not on the first life too. Not a chance.
Good luck. It probably took us about 5-10 minutes to figure out certain aspects of that. There was some stuff that was. It could have been a little more clear, but once you figured it out, it made sense for the rest of it. But there's some challenging fights. I mean, they bill it as being an extreme challenge dungeon, and it was challenging. It was more challenging than the Palace of Stone, I thought. The Palace of Stone, once you got past the kind of the unique factor of, there's a bunch of rocks that I'm fighting, and once you got past what you were doing, it's kind of a simple dungeon crawl quest. Let's talk about Monster Champions, because that's probably the one that we can talk about the most. Voodoo Spice apparently is calling it a touchdown.
Yeah. Okay, I loved Monster Champions right out of the gate. I mean, they just threw the kitchen sink at us, and that is exactly what I wanted. And I was really, really disappointed with the outcry against it. People have been complaining the game's too easy for so long, and here we got a challenge. I loved it, and I'm so disappointed that it has been nerfed. I want them to go back to the way when it was first released. Put a checkbox out there. When we go into a quest, Monster Champions on or off. Problem solved. Give us an XP bonus if we have that box checked. That way the people that don't want them can go back to complaining that Elite's too easy. I want Monster Champions back.
I cannot agree with Voodoo Spice enough. Honestly, I loved that
I
change.
just want to note that this is someone who's coming from a permadeath perspective.
Yes, and that's that was the first time I had ever seen them and had ever encountered them, and it was so cool. And honestly, we didn't do anything different, and we still got the job done. So
It's the new ogre for you, isn't it?
yeah, it's the new ogre. Yeah. Shh.
Yeah, I was disappointed when they came out with the update and nerfed them. As they came out originally, they were fun. It was teamwork. And the only thing is maybe put some upper limit on 5 or 6 of them. Some people I could see, and I think it happened to us once. We had an unlucky roll, and we had a whole bunch of them. But
Yeah, I was a little surprised at how many there were. I wasn't expecting that many. I thought they were going to be a lot more rare.
And originally, from the first posts and discussions about it, I was expecting very few but very powerful, and they were definitely way more and weren't quite as powerful as I was expecting.
Yeah, I was expecting like
certainly
one or
didn't
two per
mind the
quest.
damage nerf. I thought they were doing. I could understand that they were doing a little too much damage. So I didn't mind the damage nerf. I don't really mind there being fewer. I didn't really mind where they were to begin with, but I don't know. I think that the biggest thing for me is I agree with a lot of people. Like you should get something for killing a champion. Maybe not all the time, but maybe even if it's just like one guild renown per level of the quest or something. I don't know. Just like a really small little carrot for killing monster champions. I think would be nice.
Yeah, and they're supposed to be able to drop a chest and have a chance, but I before the fix to them, we ran Epic Elite Vaughn 3. There must have been 20 to 30 champions in that quest. There's like one or two, if not more, per group of monsters. Not a single chest drop from any of them.
They only drop a chest. They can only drop a chest if they're orange name, and they don't always do that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of part of it. I will say that I was running 100 halls today, and in the two, or I did one extended and one I just did the normal version just to the Whisper fight, and I think I got two. Between the two, I think I got something like 7 or 8 chests from champions. So I actually was getting a surprisingly good number of chests out of that quest. But I feel like I don't mind the chest thing. I would just like to have a little something really small, incremental for other champions that you're getting. 1 XP, 1 guild. It can even be like a
a
really
little
small
gift renown
number.
would be nice.
Yeah, 5
Yeah.
or 10 per,
Yep.
just a little bit extra.
Yeah, and
Doesn't have to
even
be
if
much.
it scaled or didn't scale, I don't know, just a little something. You're adding a little extra challenge to the game, and I think the design goal was fairly well met in that. But there's a little room for improvement on the system, which they have said that they're looking at ways of giving some kind of reward. I think you should get a little bit of reward for that.
Yeah. They call it elite for a reason, right?
Yep. That's exactly right. What do you think the odds are of us getting a checkbox for Monster Champions? Do you think that's even
I hope
remotely
not.
possible?
I hope not.
Between 0 and none.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's 2 difficulties with and 2 difficulties without.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, casual and normal don't have them. Hard has a smaller rate, and elite. One thing I'll say about the how they changed the drop rate. I think the balance between hard and elite is really good right now. I can see the argument for wanting more of them, but how they compare to each other, how many champions you're getting in hard versus how many you're getting in elite, that feels right to me.
Yeah,
Maybe not the total number, but the difference between the two feels right.
You look at the normal, hard, and elite difficulties. If you say elite's a 10, normal's a 1, hard has always been like a 3. I think the champions help move that hard more of the in-between zone, but I think that's part of the difficulty is hard is too easy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
hard might as well be normal before this.
There was a guy that I was talking to earlier today about we were kind of chatting about Monster Champions, and he actually made a really good point. Like the devs are pretty much firmly in the stance that they don't expect new players to be running things on Elite. But his point was, well, yeah, they wouldn't if they're running by themselves, but all the LFMs are for running Elite, so you're throwing a lot of new players kind of under the bus on that, which I thought was a good point I hadn't really seen before. I hadn't really considered myself. So there is that too. But there's nothing to say that they have to run an elite. They're making a choice based on the fact that that's kind of what's available.
I can see if a new player runs something on normal, they go into hard, oh, that wasn't too much different. They go on to elite and get spanked. I think that's part of helping generate the outcry. It just makes that difference between hard and elite seem that much more.
Well, I would say that's how it should be, right? Though, normal, there should be a little bit of jump from normal to hard, and then you go on an elite, you should get smacked around a little bit. That's kind of my opinion.
I took my true first lifer through some upper level heroic quests, like Wrath of the Flame and Finding the Path. Okay, couldn't do them. Just didn't have the resources. Couldn't overcome the Paladin's healing and Wrath of the Flame. And I was curious because Ginger Spice, my main, the Druid, was right at the same level, and so I took her into those quests and was able to solo them still. But both of those quests made me use all of my resources, every last mana clicky, and really just use every ounce of mana I had to finish them. Whereas before, I would have walked through those on Elite solo at level.
Yeah,
I agree. Keep that elite difficulty up. That's what Elite's for.
But this was before champions had been nerfed. So now, it's going to be considerably easier.
Yeah, this was several years. This is back when Lord of Blades was the end game, but I remember running Blown to Bits with my Bard. Again, before Swashbuckler, before a lot of stuff, Epic Destinies, and he couldn't kill the Paladins. It was kind of embarrassing. I had to dance the Paladin Warforged and then plant a bomb at their feet and then dance them again and run away.
I like that strategy. Awesome.
Improvisation, that is fantastic.
Just
I got
don't
border
screw up that
points
timing.
for style, but it was certainly a realization of I can't kill this thing. I need to kill 10 of them. Oh boy! And there was a party. I mean, there were other people, but we kind of got separated or whatever. But it was more sporting than I was expecting. But hey, challenge is good. It forces you to improvise and be creative. I think let's talk about barbarians. And if you want to throw in the healing app in this conversation, feel free to do that because they're kind of related. But let's talk about the barbarian enhancement pass. Anyone have? I know Voodu doesn't care because he doesn't play barbarian.
This is the part where I go to sleep.
Yeah, seriously, man, you should your next video series playing a melee.
I have a barbarian. I tried it. I don't like it.
That's fair. Anyone else have thoughts on the barbarian pass?
I don't really have an opinion on it, but Jeff Hanna apparently loves it because it brought back one of his guildies who plays nothing but barbarians. So if it brings people back to the game, then it's a good thing in my book. The healing app part of it is a whole other issue. I'm not entirely certain barbarians should be getting self-healing from a flavor standpoint. I mean, that's not what they do.
No, okay, I can see that. Propane, you gonna jump in with something on barbarians?
I'm getting close to rolling one up someday. This is one step closer.
I found it to be good. I mean, the one thing I'll definitely say about it is I want to make my barbarian a pure barbarian now, which I haven't had any inclination of doing that for a number of years because the frenzy capstone is finally good enough that I actually want to have a capstone from it. I don't really mind the healing thing from a barbarian standpoint because monks aren't really supposed to be about self-healing to that degree either, but they can use cocoon and without losing access to any of their abilities. So the whole aspect of rage making it so you can't use abilities that every other class is able to use to provide self-healing in today's environment of gaming, I kind of see the disconnect there. That there's kind of a problem for barbarians uniquely with their rage feature, particularly because right now rage isn't, the way I put my barbarian, he's hardly raging. Unless he's a tank and I know that I'm going to have some good healing, I don't generally rage. I think that's kind of a problem for barbarians. So I kind of like they're trying to make them better at self-healing. Oh, that's kind of where I came from, though. Anyone have any thoughts on the healing amp changes? Or anything else from Update 24?
Fantastic that they put it on the character sheet. Anybody doesn't know, hover over is it hit points?
Yeah, hit points. Yeah.
Totally awesome.
I played my Radiant Clunk, and it was a little bit increase. It wasn't huge, but it definitely didn't go backwards, so I'm happy with it from that point of view.
Yeah. Overall, I'm really happy with it. I was just reading somebody's comments the other day about it. They doubled almost all the sources of healing app, to get all the previous stuff in line with what they were bringing in, except for Paladin like past lives, which give a negligible amount of healing app under the current system.
You get 5%.
Yeah.
You get 5% now. It's plus 5.
I wonder if this healing amp change is going to bring a little more focus on the Tower Despair rings, because that's 40% healing amp on a ring now. Yeah, that's worth considering.
At least until they give you us healing amp augments, probably. I'm still holding out for that. All right, I think that's pretty much covers. Well, I guess item drop rates. I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on that. I mean, who doesn't like getting more loot? That's kind of my thought. I did run weapon shipment on Elite. I did not get a bauble. I was
Same
sad.
here. I tried it once, and I got to go back again.
I'll probably get there. At this point, though, it's something that's been in the game for so long that I haven't had. So it's not. I don't feel like I'm missing it as much as I used to. But
I have some Eldritch Knights that seem to be running out of mana more often than I care to admit, so I'm trying to get them through there to get it, but I haven't ran it enough yet to really know if it changed enough.
They're dropping well for my guildies.
there's at least a few people that are farming them. So I'll probably get around to it eventually, maybe. But
Speaking of weapon shipments, after the Monster Champion nerf, I ran that twice now, and I was disappointed at the number of champions was in there. I was at Duodit, and I was expecting just to get crushed on Elite. We're like 20, level 19, and it wasn't much of a problem.
I remember when they first made the change that the number of spawns was based on the party, and we ran that on Elite, and that was sporting as hell.
It went from like 250 to 350 kills or something. That does ramp up.
We got through it, and we had a few deaths, but we managed to hold it together pretty solidly. But it was a challenge the whole way through, and it got pretty entertaining and fun. That was for sure. All right, so that's all the updates. Maybe let's just go across the board real quick. Favorite thing that came out this year, or that we got this year, and we'll go. Let's start with Lessah this time.
Man, you're gonna make me choose? Oh, it's so hard. It's like choosing a favorite child, but I'll go ahead and do that because I do have a favorite. I'm gonna say Paladins. Gonna have to go with my first love. Sorry. Voodu, Spice, you make me cry. Crying into my heavy armor right now.
Making girls cry is one of my many unmarketable skills.
Oh, good.
What are you talking about? That's totally a marketable skill. Steiner-Davion.
I'm gonna say my favorite thing is something that makes me cry at the same time. And we skipped over the notes here. It's the change to Threnal East 3. Part of me, like I said, part of me wants to cry, and it's partially tears of joy and tears of sorrow. Having suffered through that quest so many times because of Mr. Stupid, now the fact that it doesn't matter is kind of like, yay! We feel vindicated in a sense that we can just go in there and just let him die just for sport.
Yep.
But part of me is sad because any new players aren't going to experience that horror of watching him just commit suicide. And
I think any new players are really going to experience that, though. I mean, veterans pretty much across the board avoided it like the plague. So
that's right up there with Vaughn 2 getting blown off and failing it.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like I'm glad that this happened, and at the same time, it's like it's one of those experiences that every player of the game needs to experience.
All right, Propane, best thing of the year.
I'm going to have to go with the armor up stuff. I like building characters, and by having the armor changes, it makes your heavy armor and your shield so much more viable now. So it opens up more character options that are effective and viable in the game. So I think that has been the biggest changer for me this year.
And Voodu.
My knee-jerk reaction was to say champions, but they nerfed them, so that's definitely not it anymore. So I'm going to go with the Thunderhome crafting systems. I mean, the heavy 3060 DR armor is so pimp. And then for years, I couldn't fit in Ice Lore into my Druid, and finally, with the Tier 3 Thunderforge weapon, they got the Universal Spell Lore, or you can go with the specific Spell Lore. I mean, I love that Universal Spell Lore on there. It's awesome. And I love the whole system. Everything that you can put on there is great.
I think for me, I'm going to go with guild ships, the guild pass, the new airships, the new buffs. I think just from a quality of life standpoint, not having to go back there. And it's probably the one thing that really impacted all of my characters across the board in a supremely beneficial way. So I'm going with that.
Well, since champions are still work in progress, that means we can talk about them next year, right?
Maybe, yeah. We'll see. See how they go. I'm sure that I don't think it's a system that's done and it's going to be tweaking for a long time. So we'll see. We'll see what comes of it. Uh, they seem like they're pretty committed to having some sort of a more of a reward for doing them. So I'm
I just
looking
hope they
forward
pay
to
more attention to it than they did with Dungeon Alert. In a lot of ways, the two things are designed to do the same thing, and one of them clearly has failed, and it's not the champions, but they haven't really fixed Dungeon Alert, and that's been around for what, 2.5 years now? 3 years?
probably longer than that.
Yeah.
I think that came out. I want to say it came out around the time that Tower was an in-game.
Yeah, I always remember DA being a thing, and I've been playing the game 5 years. I don't ever remember a time without
Yeah.
it.
It's been so long, I couldn't tell you when it came in without looking at the notes.
All right, we're gonna wrap this part of the discussion up, and we're gonna. I have a survey question for this week. And the survey question is: if you have multiple characters, how do you partition their playtime? And since I'm ready for this, I'll go first. Generally, what I do is I kind of focus on one and then pull out the other ones for raids and other stuff that I know that they want to run. Maybe they want to get a loot specific. But generally, I kind of just go across them and run one for a while and then get to a certain point and then go on to the next one and run him up to a certain point and then kind of rinse and repeat. Voodu, how do you deal with having multiple guys?
I mean, these days it's Ginger Spice. My druid is pretty much the character I exclusively play. The others, kind of like you, if Ginger's on timer and I need a healer, I might pull up one of my other tunes. Also, if new content comes out and there's some gear that I want for one of my alts, then I'll start focusing on them a little bit more. But just until I get the gear, and then I'll park them again.
And Steiner-Davion?
Pretty much 0 and 100%. I'm kind of like you. I've got one character I focus on, and he gets like all the playtime. I do have like 18 characters on my main server, and I only play one because I figured I want to see my characters advance, so I cured my altitis by just focusing in on my completionist. And that way I can experience all my characters through one character.
And Propane?
I'm pretty serious into the altitis. I have characters every 2 or 3 levels, and I kind of use the shuffle approach. If I see a gap in my levels, I'll bump one up and then bump another one up, and then someone gets to the top, they get TR'd and comes back around. So I have a constant flow of characters through all the different level ranges. And then I got a few favorites mixed in that occasionally get more runtime or not, but I try to make sure I have characters every 2 or 3 levels. It really gives me flexibility in leveling with other guildies, and it keeps the game fresh when you're running, Delaras one night and then Epic Giant Home the next night, and then Storm's Reach, and you get to bounce all over the place.
And last but certainly not least, Lessah.
I have multiple characters on multiple servers, and honestly, I only have time to pay attention to one or two at a time. So one guy might get played, and then I might not touch him for 2-3 weeks, maybe more. And every time I'll go back and I'll look at that whatever character I was playing before and think, what the heck was I doing? What was I thinking? At this kind of start, I have to kind of scramble and start all over. Almost wish I had a tally sheet for goals, because I definitely have all the altitis that you guys are infected with. I didn't realize it was a contagious condition, but apparently it is. So...
2 words: Microsoft Excel.
Oh, okay. Of course. You have an Excel spreadsheet for your characters and your goals, don't you? Don't you, Patrick? I can see that look on your face. Yes, you do. I'm gonna have one too now, because plagiarism is the most sincere form of flattery. Imitation. Right. Imitation.
I don't really want
Sorry.
to put words in your mouth, Lessah, but you kind of do a lot of like static groups too, right? So
yes, I do static groups, and a lot of times those guys, they'll only get touched once a week. So, And then
Yeah.
it just depends on what I feel like doing, who I feel like playing, and what level range.
Yeah, when I was doing more raiding, there was a lot more cycling between my characters because I'm usually working on one leveling project or like one project, and everyone else is kind of through a raid cycle. But I haven't been raiding as much this year. So with that, for this conversation, I would say thanks for everyone listening to the show, and thanks guys for being here with me, and thanks to the other contributors to DDOcast, and thanks to Turbine for making DDO and Wizards for letting them do that and making D&D, and thanks to Cyber's for hosting the podcast. You can hit us up at DDOcast.com for show notes, our calendars, previous shows, swag, and other fun stuff. If you'd like to be a part of the show or just say hi, you can email us at ddocast@gmail.com. You can also find us on social media and follow us for the latest cast updates. The closing tip for this week is when grouping, try to coordinate attacks. For example, don't use a paralyzer if a favored soul is throwing blade barriers everywhere. Good advice. So until next time, mail your attack rolls for crits, all your trust level pro, have fun, and don't forget to join us next week for the conclusion of our discussion here.